Last year, the South Warren Spartans played their first season as a varsity program.
That included a trip to the playoffs, and this season the Spartans are looking to have even more success. And joining us now on the show is their head coach, Mark Nelson. Coach, thanks for being back on.
Thanks for having me, Coach.
Good to see you, too.
Well, Coach, what a difference a year makes. And last year when we had you on, we were talking about the school's first ever year as a varsity program. And this year you guys have that first year under your belt, and you're going into your second year as a varsity program. How are things different?
Well, first of all, we have 10 back on offense, 8 back on defense, and when you have that kind of numbers coming back, you know, you're planning on a lot of success. And then the amount of growth that we've had in the weight room and the maturity and the mental preparedness that these kids are, we're not going to have many surprises this year. You know, we ought to be ready to play. You know, playing up at Western first game shouldn't be a big surprise, shouldn't be, you know, we've all done it one time. So, you know, we go up there and have a job to do, and we get it done.
Coach, last year you guys won your last 3 games of regular season. You won your last 4 out of 6 games. Really finished strong. How much did that carry over into this season as far as momentum and you know, guys just fired up about that season-ending, you know, run that they made?
We saw a great gain in the weight room and excitement going right off the bat. How many kids after that playoff game they got in there and worked hard, and Coach Smith does our weight room, and just to see the kids grow physically and the amount of strength that we put on this year. So if we take that to the football field, that's going to be a big plus for us.
Yeah.
Did you see an increase in numbers? I got to imagine maybe some kids who weren't sure, you know, about whether they ever played football or wanted to play saw that, hey, you know, the school, we went to the playoffs, I want to be a part of that. Did you see an increase in numbers in maybe freshman or sophomore kids come out and say, you know, I want to try to play football?
Well, you always have some that decide they don't want to play anymore, and then some that want to come back after a year leave, and then you have some new ones come in. And probably out of all the kids that came out, I think a couple moved in and they've stayed with us and are going to help us a great deal on Saturday night. And then a big freshman class came over. We lost 9 seniors and we got 28 freshmen this year, so we're up to 73 kids.
That's fantastic. You know, Coach, during the 7v7 earlier this spring, I was hanging out with the linemen, as I always do. And your guys, you know, it was the hog brawl. Your guys have some size, but they also have some speed. Talk a little bit about your linemen.
Well, our big kids, you know, especially across our defensive front, with big Adrian Middleton and Nick Hubbard and Chase Kendall, Ryan Bolton, they play across the front. And but all 4 of those kids can move. And where Adrian's 285, he moves really nice for a big boy. And then Nick Hubbard's around 250, moves faster than Adrian, has a motor on him. And then our other 2 guys on the outside, they're a little bit smaller, but again can run. Then our offensive line comes back intact, and they're all back from last year, every one of our starters, and we've moved them around just a little bit, but it's the same 5 that started the playoff game last year, and we expect big things from them too.
How important is that to have your offensive line all return? I mean, especially a position like that where you want to protect that quarterback and create holes for the running back. That's got to be, you know, you always want more guys to come back, and that's great, but especially that offensive line, I mean, that's got to be, I'm sure as a coach, even more spectacular.
Absolutely. That front, you know, they get very little recognition, but that's where you go. And if your offensive line is gelling, you know your running backs are getting good holes.
You know, Coach, we talked a couple of years ago when you took the head coaching job at South Warren, and you said that you really look forward to building a program, you know, because you've been coaching for many years. Everything that you thought it would be?
Oh, it's absolutely. I mean, you know, when I got to Greenwood, and it was every day was great at Greenwood, and clear to the end. And the last game we played at Greenwood was, I think, Final 4 game against St. X. So, you know, where we're at right now, last year our first varsity game going to the playoffs, we want to continue that, yeah. and these kids have really bought into what we're doing on all aspects of the game and in the off season, and you know, we hope for big things sooner than what it took at Greenwood.
What are some goals you guys have set going into year 2? I mean, you made the playoffs last year, so what are some of the goals you guys talked about this year? All right, that's what we did last year. What do we need to do to take a step further this season? Well,
you know, as a coach, and you want to share that with your kids, you want to win every game, and you know, sometimes that's, you know, accomplished and sometimes it's not. But as me looking at our program, I want to get better every single game. And then when number 10 comes around, you're done. You go into the playoffs, and then you try to play your best football then and try to make some noise there.
You know, obviously, Coach, by the time this airs, you have already played at the Rafferty's Bowl. But talk a little bit about the excitement of playing at Houchin Smith Stadium and what a great way to kick off your football season.
It's great for our kids. You know, not very many kids get to play on the carpet and play in a stadium like Western Kentucky and that building that the Hilltoppers play in. And to go up there and play the first week, and then knowing that you know, your ultimate goal for every football team in the state is to play up there your last week. So we get to play on it first, and I think it's very exciting for our kids.
Hey, one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are the Steelers going all the way this year?
Well,
man.
yeah, I tell you what, I always hope so.
Wait,
I always hope so.
Wait,
Coach is a Steelers fan, right? You're still a Steelers fan.
I wish I would have known that because I'm from Cincinnati. So I mean, we're gonna
Well,
make some...
that's why we don't talk about Cincinnati football.
Well, I mean, you know, Coach, as we said, you talked about the goals and going to the Rafferty's Bowl. Maybe what's the one thing that you really noticed from your team? I think you talked about the weight room, but going from last year to this year that really has you excited about the season?
I think the maturity of our kids. You know, I've already talked about how much they've grown muscularly and size-wise. Some of our kids have really grown a couple inches, gained some weight, but mentally, how much they've learned how to prepare. And practice has been great this week. Knowing that this week is the job counts. You know, last week was a scrimmage, now the job counts, and how they've come to work.
Coach, also, you've got a coaching staff of a bunch of young guys that played, you know, Division I football, and just talk a little bit about, you know, how they have contributed to the growth of this program.
Well, you know, we've gone through some change this year. Preston King moved on to a job, and Coach Grissom is the assistant principal at Drakes Creek now, and we wish them well because they're going to be successful. Great coaches, kids loved them. But Brandon Smith, I mean, I could go down the line. Brandon Smith, and we've picked up a young man named Cody Hughes, if you remember him, from Western Kentucky. Great with our kids, and picked up Sean Young and got Dusty Croft, Bert Stinson, Walter York. I mean, I'm probably going to miss a few, but we've got coaches that care about the kids, and that's first. And then they coach them up hard, and the kids buy into what they're teaching, and it's nice to see.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, Coach, we appreciate you stopping by today. We wish you the best of luck this season, and I'm sure we'll be talking with you later.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Coach.
Look forward to it.
Stick around. You're watching the Sports Connection on WBKO.